Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Imeko bhante panchupadanakkhandha king mulakati iti. Dear Venerable Brother, Dhamma friends, actually during last couple of months we have discussed one interesting sutta available in the Khanda Sangyutta. So this sutta is called Punnama Sutta. Seems like the name was given because it was preached during a full moon Poya day while Buddha was residing at Migaramatu Pasada. As you all know, Migaramatu Pasada is one of the second monasteries that Buddha has dwelled many years next to Jetanarama. Who has built Migaramatu Pasada? Chaka has built the Migaramatu Pasada. So interestingly, Buddha was dwelling there with many other monks. And by the way, he came out of the monastery during the full moon Poya day, and while dwelling outside in the environment, there he preached this particular sutta, actually based on a kind of a series of questions from one monk. According to the commentary, this monk who is asking the questions seems to be an arahant or a good teacher, but has many followers, many students, and he wanted some direct preaching from the Buddha to very practical, insightful questions. So while the monks were just sitting, and this monk raised up and he is asking, Bhante, if you give me permission, I would like to ask several questions. Then Buddha said, okay, no problem, you may sit and then you ask whatever the questions. Now he is asking the first question, Ideniko Bhante Panchupadanakkhandha Seyyatidang Rupupadanakkhandho Vedanaupadanakkhandho Sanyaupadanakkhandho Sankharupadanakkhandho Vinyonupadanakkhandho. So basically we are quite familiar with these words. So there are 5 clinging aggregates. Now he seems to, as first, he wants to confirm it. I have heard about the 5 aggregates, names like this. Am I correct? Yes, these are the 5 aggregates. So Buddha confirms it. And then Imeniko Bhante Panchupadanakkhandha Kim Mulakati. So what is the root cause for the continuation, for the existence of these 5 clinging aggregates? And then Buddha answers, Imeniko Bhikkhu Panchupadanakkhandha Chanda Mulakati. So the desire is the root cause for the continuation of these 5 clinging aggregates. Now if we simply look at it, that statement, now look at your own mind and see what are the thoughts appearing in your mind. What are the images or mental objects appearing in your mind? What are the desires appearing in your mind? Now if you look at them, often you might find, some household activities, some plans about your children, about your parents, about the country, the new election, the upcoming election. So many things are there. So these are all, some mundane type of stuff that we are daily associating. So these are the ones we are, our minds are occupied with, and we may have some interest to them. So that's why they are keep on coming. So for example, if you are interested in politics, so then the recent changes in the government and maybe keep on coming to your mind. So the upcoming election may be another event that is more holding your space of the mind because your interest is there. That is the desire. So if you are desireful to that area, so that promotes more thinking related to that, that promotes more planning related to that, proliferation related to that. So that related various mental images will occupy your mind, isn't it? So that is what basically more and more stuffed in your mind. And the memories also are quite connected to that. They also again and again pops up, and you again and again lingering in that thoughts, memories. That's what it is. Suppose that you are interested in, say, cricket. So I heard that yesterday yesterday, right? Sri Lanka won a cricket match. So if you are interested in that, then you will be, uplifted and, quite happy about the recent improvements. And so that event-related thoughts keep coming to your mind. Maybe the series of activities, what has happened and how the performance, etc., keep coming to your mind. So those are the ones occupying your mind. So why particularly that related information, thoughts, images coming to your mind? Because your interest is there, right? So your interest is there. Someone else's interest may be in politics, another one's interest may be cricket. So likewise, we have certain our own interests. So those interested area keep on coming to the mind, occupying the mind. And I am just taking some simple examples. So likewise, again and again, our interest might switch. Isn't it? I mean, we can't say that from the beginning I am maintaining this particular interest. So you might shift the interest accordingly. Many thoughts, many images, mental images, your plans, past experiences, all keep on coming to the mind. So mind always occupied. There is no break. There is no any rest. Every time mind is engaged with something. So this Chanda Mulaka has some subtle meaning like that. So our mind keep occupying, mind keep engaged based on our desire, based on our interest. That is some underneath tendency in your mind, in your interest. So that related thoughts, that related images, plans, past memories, past events, all are somewhat colored according to that. Then another question he is asking. So this question is somewhat tricky. He is asking, is upadana, the clinging, is five clinging aggregates, so it is quite apart from five clinging aggregates? It's like this. I feel this question is like this. Now suppose there are two bulls and they are being bound by a yoke. And one bull is white, the other bull is black. So if the white bull is pulling to one direction, what happened to the other bull? It will be pulled to the same direction, right? If the black bull being pulled to one direction, the white bull is also being dragged, pulled to the same direction. Now, is the black bull a problem to the white bull? Or the white bull a problem to the black bull? Or you like Red Bull? So what's the problem then? Now I hope you got the question, right? Now there are two bulls, and now when the white bull is pulling to say left direction, the other bull, the black bull also being pulled to the same direction. Why? Because the black bull is a problem to white bull, or what's the issue? The yoke is the issue. Because if there is no yoke, then there is no issue, isn't it? So the yoke is the issue. So this is actually the explanation given beautifully by Venerable Sariputta related to the Sangyojana. The kind of a engagement, kind of a attachment what we have. So the external sights is not the issue, I is also not the issue. But in between I and the sight, so there is a kind of a link happening because of the desire. So the desire, this Chandaraga, is the issue. So if there is no Chandaraga, if there is no such desire, you can see many things. You don't need to change the world. Things may be beautiful, nothing to worry. But you also can go through the whole experience. There is no any disturbance, there is no any attraction or repulsion. You are simply navigating through the life because there is no any engagement. There is no any interest, or there is no any sort of desire operating in the mind. So the issue is with the desire in that sense. So that's the point Venerable Sariputta wants to highlight. So that Chandaraga, that desire, is the main culprit in a way. So here also this particular bhikkhu is asking, what is the real exact cause for this? Is it within the five clinging aggregates? This clinging, is it within the five clinging aggregates, or is it outside the five clinging aggregates? So then Buddha say it is not within or outside, but the Chandaraga, that particular desire is the main kind of a hook or main kind of the problem or issue. Then the next section he is asking, Siyapana bante panchupadana kandesu chandaraga vemattatati. So what is the diversity between these five clinging aggregates? So there actually the Buddha's answer is very much related to the kind of forward looking, some sort of a futuristic inclination in our mind. Now say for example, you are looking forward to something every time. Currently you have some unsatisfaction. I am not happy, I am not fulfilled. You don't feel that you are completely satisfied. You have some kind of an inclination. Okay, if my son say pass the exam, if I will win the lottery, if my country happen like this, if my daughter say got the job, okay, if my country do well, if my cricket team won the next match. Likewise, I mean, we have some futuristic, future-related anticipation in our mind. So Buddha elaborates it using to the five, dividing it to five clinging aggregates. So the Rupakkhanda related, so the form aggregate related, some sort of anticipation is there in our mind. Say you are ill right now, you are not well right now. So you expect, okay, let this body be well, isn't it? I mean, I like to be well, so you prefer that. Currently you are unhappy, you are suffering, body aches are there, pains are there. So you are always sort of looking forward the health, because currently unhappy, currently unsatisfied. Say you feel that you are, once you go in front of the mirror, you feel that you are not that beautiful, pretty. You wish, okay, let me be more beautiful, more prettier. So I have to attend a important event. So I better have to buy a new sari or something like that. So some sort of anticipation is there every time. Currently not happy, not 100% happy, not fulfilled. The feelings are also same. So always looking forward for some happy moments, some pleasurable moments, either through the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. So looking forward for some happy, pleasurable events, not being completely happy in the present moment, not being fully contented in the present moment, but still desiring some kind of a change in the future into the feeling domain. Now same thing with respect to the sanya, the perceptions. Say you are learning something, you are studying something, say you are looking for a degree, more and more information to gather, more titles to gather, something to fill your mind. So do you like to keep your mind empty or want to fill it? What do you prefer? Typically, so if you feel more empty and you feel like, okay, it's very boring, right? I mean, I feel bored. So you are looking forward for some events to fill the mind. I mean, that having the mind filled with some, beautiful type of images, so keep popping up some beautiful things. So that is what we naturally kind of preferred. Rather than keeping the mind very serene or quiet or empty, we like to fill it. So probably as a result of your practice, you might have tasted that kind of a different unworldly kind of happiness using the practice. So that's a kind of a different change in your life, But typically people like to occupy the mind, keep pumping more and more information to the mind. Now that's why we are more interested in watching the movies, or say the news, or this and that, because rather than keeping the mind empty, so you want to fill it, you want to occupy the mind, you want to completely fill the mind full, right? Full mind rather than empty mind. So that's the kind of attitude we have. So we like to fill the mind rather than keeping it empty. So that futuristic looking forward with respect to the body, with respect to the feelings, with respect to the perceptions, and even thinking. So you don't like to be quiet in a way, but rather you like thinking. Which one you prefer? Now maybe after some amount of practice, you might start tasting the freedom, or tasting the, say, calmness, tasting the silence of the mind. Before that, actually keep on thinking. There is no rest to the mind. So that's why papanchabirata paja. So these typical worldly beings, typical folk, are very much like addicted to thinking, addicted to conceptual proliferation. So they like that. They really prefer worrying. They really prefer, various kinds of future uncertainties to think about. What went wrong? If there are any kind of a danger in the future. So that's why people keep promoting, okay, after 5 years there's a, huge destruction to the world, or this and that, and there's a huge explosion, foreign particle going to come and hit. So if they are publishing that, people are quite interested. So likewise, so the thinking is something that we are very much like addicted. So we can't stop thinking. Keep on thinking. We promote thinking. Keep occupying the mind. And that is also not the more into the positive and happy side, but more into the negative, depressive type of thinking. That's kind of a wrong addiction we have. So that is related to thinking. On the other hand, the vijnana, the consciousness, that's what I like to emphasize today. That is also where we like to look at things through the eyes, hear sounds through the ear, smell various odors through the nose, keep on tasting something, and keep on go through some bodily sensations. If not, keep occupying the mind. So that sensual engagement, rather than keeping the senses quiet and somewhat restrained, we keep on stimulating the senses. We prefer stimulation. We keep on stimulating the eye, keep on stimulating the ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. That stimulation. So the cognition is very much like keep on triggered, not giving any rest. Now that's why so these are the typical way that we are very much like programmed in a way. We can't simply keep the eyes quiet, or only limited necessary things to visualize. Rather, we keep on looking at various things, keep on hearing various things. Now that's why nowadays it's quite evident. Now, say for example, during the past days, say when people are traveling, they simply look around and they may even enjoy the sights. What's the situation today? So they typically either they put the headphones and keep hearing the music, or they take the cell phone and keep tapping it. So they are in their world, fully occupied. They don't know who is sitting next to them, fully with it, fully keep watching maybe YouTube or this or that, keep talking to their own people, own engagement, own, say, their loved ones, whatever. But in the past, actually, people are more human, and they actually are more, I feel, more aesthetic in a way. But now their brains or their behavior have become more artificial. It is getting worse and worse. And we keep on stimulating the senses. They are fully occupied, never resting. And therefore, that stimulation also has some future-related anticipation. Through the eyes, I want to stimulate, have this kind of a beautiful sightseeing or something like that. Hearing also same. Smelling, tasting, touching also same. So this is the typical behavior that the human beings are having, not only us, maybe the other beings also. So we keep on having some inclination towards the future, using the forms, feelings, perceptions, thoughts or intentions, and the cognition. And then we'll get into the other area. Kittavatānuko bhante khandanam khandādi vachananti. Now, how this term khanda, the aggregate, has come to be. So there, Buddha is giving an answer to all the different aggregates. I am taking today about the consciousness aggregate. Yankinchi bhikkhu viññānaṁ atītānāgata paccuppannaṁ ajjattaṁ vā bahiddhā vā olārikaṁ vā sukumaṁ vā yan hīnaṁ vā panītaṁ vā yan dūre santikē vā sabbhaṁ viññānaṁ. Now, different forms of viññāna, different forms of consciousness is there. Now, consciousness. Now, let's get into the idea of consciousness. So, what is consciousness? What is viññāna? So, you have heard about the consciousness. Do you have consciousness? So, what is consciousness? That's a very interesting, it's like asking from a fish, what is water? If you ask from a fish, what is water? What would be the answer? Very difficult to answer, no? Because it was born to water, living in water, assume that it has never come out of water. Now, if someone is asking, okay, what is water? Very difficult to answer. So, like us, like here, when we ask what is consciousness, it's very difficult to answer because we keep on conscious. So, the moment that we are born, I don't know, even while you are in the womb, you will still be conscious. So we are conscious beings. So therefore it's very difficult to answer what is consciousness unless we get some guidance from the Buddha's teaching. So this question being asked from Venerable Sariputta again by Venerable Mahakottita, this explanation is available in Mahavedalla Sutta. Viññānaṁ viññānanti āuso uccati. Kittavatānuko āuso viññānanti uccati. So Venerable Kottita is asking from Venerable Sariputta, viññānaṁ viññānanti uccati. That means consciousness is said. So what is consciousness? Then Venerable Sariputta answers like this: Vijānāti ko āuso tasmā viññānanti uccati. Kinca vijānāti. Sukhantipi vijānāti, dukkhantipi vijānāti, adukkhama sukhantipi vijānāti. So he is explaining the consciousness with respect to its function. So what is the function of consciousness? Vijānāti. The vijānāti is very much like you are distinctly recognizing something. Now say for example, so we have 50 people here. Now if I want to look at someone and distinctly recognize, this is Dilhara. I am distinctly recognized, paying my attention among many other people. I am distinctly paying attention to someone and then I am naming and recognizing, knowing, okay, this is this. Making kind of a distinction and knowing it. And landing my consciousness there. Assume that I was simply overwhelming the whole thing, the whole hall, not particularly paying attention to anyone. Is it possible? Can, right? You can simply overview everyone. The whole view is possible, right? Again, it is possible to look at someone, particularly paying special attention to someone, landing my attention there. So that direct, or rather we can say particular distinct recognition, we can say is a function of consciousness. distinct knowing. We can say typical word use is the cognition. The cognition, cognizing. How we are cognizing something. Cognizing, recognizing have somewhat close. So this distinctly knowing when many other things are there. So the example is very interesting. So how, assume that now your body is having some pain. So while you are listening, if you pay attention to that pain, you can distinctly recognize, okay, there is a pain in my knee. There's a pain in my, say, back. There's a pain in my shoulder. So like that. So when there are many different kinds of feelings are there, you can distinctly recognize, okay, there is a painful feeling at particular this place. Similarly, it is not only the, say, painful feeling you may have. You have some equanimous feelings here and there. If you pay enough attention, okay, there is an equanimous feeling there. So you can distinctly know. So there is another example given in another sutta. Assume that you are taking your meals, and can you distinctly know while you are eating, okay, now I am experiencing some sweet taste. Now I am experiencing some bitter taste. Now I am experiencing salt taste. Now I am experiencing sour taste. Like that. Many different tastes are there. So you can distinctly know I am experiencing this particular taste. This particular taste. You can even name it. So these are very primary functions of our brain or our mind. So you can distinctly know. So this is called the kind of cognition. So while many things are there, so you can distinctly recognize something, a particular object. So this is the function of the vijnana, the consciousness. Now, that's a very interesting question asked again by Venerable Kottitha. So he's asking, is consciousness and wisdom, are they completely disjoined or are they conjoined? What do you think? If you differentiate between wisdom and consciousness, are they conjoined, that means joined together, or completely disjoined? Are they completely separate? Any answer? So Venerable Sariputta says they are conjoined. They are not completely separate. So he's giving a very interesting way. Yam pajanati tang vijanati, yang vijanati tam pajanati. So the first thing, yam pajanati tang vijanati. What one wisely understand, that what one wisely cognize. And then yang vijanati tam pajanati, that means what one cognize, that is what one wisely understand. So this understanding, wise understanding and cognition has some relationship. So further he elaborates, panya bhave tabba vijnanam parinyaya. You need to develop wisdom in order to fully understand consciousness. So that's a very, very important statement. You need to develop wisdom in order to understand the fully understand the function of consciousness. Without wisdom, you being, naturally trapped in the consciousness. Like like a fish in the water, not knowing where it is. So we can't understand the function of consciousness, which is so evident. So that is very natural. That is what we are born to. We can't understand the function of consciousness, and so we are keep on occupying the mind, keep on dwelling in that area, never knowing some different way of cognition. Now say for example, assume that there's a tortoise who can live in the water, also can live in the land. Now a tortoise come to the water and talk with the fish. I have seen a beautiful, mountain side. I can experience some breeze. Or I have seen the beautiful sun. I have seen the clouds. At night there is a beautiful moon. So if he explain that to the fish, can it understand?
It's like Greek. No, I mean, you can't imagine, because it can simply, is it like this? Is it like this? So it can only imagine, but can't experience, because it's born in the water, never gone out of the water, and simply keep living in the water. So if someone else come and explain, okay, there is this kind of experience available outside, this sort of a land available outside, so you can experience wind, breeze, say sun, moon, this and that, very difficult. So likewise for us also, if someone is saying, okay, you are very much like trapped in the consciousness, the typical consciousness, there is a possibility to experience something completely different. It's very much like very, very difficult to even, imagine about it. So because we are trapped in the typical experience, we keep on, that's why I said, we keep on engaged with some sight to our ear, our eyes, sounds to our ears, smells to the nose, taste to the tongue, tangibles to the body, thoughts to the mind, fully engaged. Never knowing there is a possibility to completely disengage, completely to be free. It's very difficult to even convince, because we are born to that engagement, we are born to that information, we are born to that sight, sound, smells, taste, tangibles, and the thinking. It's very, very difficult to even explain. There is a possibility to be free from all that and to experience a completely different level of, say, consciousness, a completely different level of cognition, completely different level of understanding. Very difficult. Now that's why Buddha is promoting, okay, you need to develop wisdom in order to understand the complete function of the consciousness. Unless otherwise you will be blocked, you will be hang on, you will be engaged continuously with that typical mundane kind of consciousness. So our Vipassana practice is aimed towards that, by the way. So more we practice Vipassana, the more will be your understanding about the consciousness. But we sometimes don't know why we are practicing, how the things are working, that we very much don't know. We are simply practicing. But in deep terms, so more we practice, the typical engaged consciousness become less engaged, we can say, less trapped. So let's get into some other areas. Now he's asking another question. Konuko bante hetu ko paccayo viññānassa paññapanāya. What is the reason, what is the cause for consciousness to happen? What is the approximate cause for consciousness to happen? On what it is based upon? Any idea? If you remember Patissamuppada, Avijja paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya viññānam, viññāna paccaya nama rupam. Any idea now? So what is the proximate cause for consciousness? We are talking still about that engaged consciousness, established consciousness. So established consciousness, established on what? So in the subtle level, so Buddha explains, established in name and form, nama rupa. So therefore he is answering, nama rupam hetu, nama rupam paccayo, viññānassa paññapanāya. Now if you want to say there is consciousness landed upon something, then there is this ground. That ground is nothing but the name and form. So let's have a little example for kind of a simile for this. This is coming from Venerable Katukurunde Ñāṇananda Thero. So he is giving a beautiful example. Now say you are going to see a movie, not at your home, but to a theater. Hope you all have participated, right? Do you have any experience at a theater, at a cinema hall? Suppose it's a daytime. It's daytime, right? And it's really a perfect kind of a theater. And during the daytime, and once you all are being, gathered, and now you are almost about to look at the movie. Now, what is the next? What they are going to do next? So this is a daytime, right? They have to close the doors, right? Doors, windows, everything they have to close. Why? Because there's a projector somewhere hidden in the back, and through that, so you know the mechanism, right? So there's a projector, and that projector is the one ultimately projecting a kind of an image onto the screen. Suppose this is a perfect theater, and once the doors and the windows are fully closed, now what can you see? You can't see anything. If it is a perfect theater, isn't it? If the doors and closes are perfectly sealed, even though it's daytime, now you shouldn't see anything now, right? It has to be pitch dark now. Okay, assume now, just to add some humor here, assume that there's a late comer. So how he's being put it to the place? There's some guy is coming with a torch. There's a new place. You go there and directed to that place. Okay, now it's also ready. Now that fellow goes again pitch dark, right? Now there's a beautiful, assume, now we are now watching the movie. There's a beautiful incident now being portrayed in the screen. Now there are two guys and they are, maybe a love couple. They are holding their hands and kissing and, singing and all that. And they are really beautifully showing that. And we also, we also attracted to that. We also having some loving thoughts now going on and, So you are fully in that, right? You are fully engaged in that event. Maybe eyes and mouth are both open, right? So you are fully engaged in it. Fully in it, basically. So one incident, so portrayed beautifully. Very beautiful end, right? And then there's a next event. So that girls say, brother, a real culprit, a real dangerous guy. So he's attacking someone and there's a really thrilled kind of excitement going on. Fights and sounds and all that and all full excitement. Really kind of a exciting scene is there. So you are again, eyes are fully opened and again engaged in that. Quite different sights, huh? First sight is one thing, this sight is another thing. And assume that there are a few more sights, few more events, few more incidents. So who is connecting these different incidents? Is someone from the background, are they telling, okay, you need to connect this event to this event to this event? Are they instructing us? So, no, we are the ones, right? So our internal, what we call the tanha, craving, has that capacity. That's why it's called pono bhavika. Nandiraga sahagata, tatra tatrabi nandini. So our tanha has that capacity. So when one event happens, so now you like to look at the next event. You have some futuristic inclination. What's going to happen next? So typically say when you are watching a teledrama, to be continued. So at the end it says to be continued. So you are waiting another week. Oh, what's going to happen next week? So again, that they will stop that at a very, very interesting event, not giving the result. So that for 1 week you being engaged in that. So your interest being somewhat captured to look at next week also. So that's how they are planning it, isn't it? So one event to the other event, so connecting, engaging or connecting one event to the other event is function of our mind in a way. Our, particularly the craving. Now suppose you are in the, say that thrilled kind of an event. So they are jumping, hitting each other and screaming and all that. And you are fully in that. So in order to fully in that, can you remember now you are watching a movie? If you are fully in that, so you can't remember you are in a movie, right? So to that level, you have to be fully attracted. You have to be fully involved in it. Then only you can say, okay, it's really a beautiful movie, because your involvement is 100%. You can't remember who is in front. You can't remember where you are, because you are fully in that fiction. Now what happened? All of a sudden, all the doors and windows are open. What happened? Assume that that thrilled event is going on, right? They are going through, some motorbikes are coming and shooting and all this and that are there. All of a sudden, the windows are open, doors are open. Now what happened? Is the projector still working? Still it is working, right? Still the event is there in the screen. But what happened to the screen? It will be more illuminated. More illumination is there in the screen. Now that projected image become blurred. You might have experienced that, right? So in case accidentally the door is open, a flash is coming to the screen, and that projected beautiful fictitious event being blurred now. How are you looking at it now? So your interest is very much like washed out. So you come back to I am on the seat. Oh my goodness, I was watching a movie. Or it is daytime. You forgot it. You are shifted to a new experience. You are shifted to a completely new world, a fictitious world. You are there, fully involved there. But once the doors are open, now you've been thrown out of that world, isn't it? You have been thrown out from that to the present. Present is very boring, right? There are few people around you and fully packed cinema hall, and you are on a seat. So you are back to this reality, frustrated reality. But once you are watching that movie, it has taken you to a completely different world. You are fully involved, fully born to that new world. So this is exactly what is happening within our mind. Say, whenever we as humans, we keep on making different events in our mind, keep on drawing various arts in our mind, and one artwork to the next artwork. One artwork to the next artwork. Every time engage, and we keep watching movies. Keep watching movies, forgetting that this is a movie. Forgetting that this is a movie. Various events are there within our little world. So we have our own little world. So I am the king in my world. So in my world, okay, this is it. So my parents, my children, my husband, my wife, my president, my vice president, or my this thing, that thing. So everybody is there. So I am fully engaged in it, never knowing anything outside. So this is the typical operation between name and form and consciousness. So in that simile, the name and form is very much like that projected image. Consciousness is very much like that screen. So are they essential for each other's function? Now say for example, while it is pitch dark, even when there is no image coming from the projector, can you see the screen? Screen also not visible, right? You can't see the screen also, and there is no function of the screen either. The function of the screen is very much like evident when only the image is projected to it, isn't it? The incident is projected to it. Then only the function of screening, or you can say the reflection, is very much like coming to being. Otherwise, there is no purpose of a screen, right? Since there is a screen, it can reflect what is being projected onto it. Now, for this image to manifest properly, that screen is essential also, and it is also at the proper distance. So you need to properly focus, right? You need to properly focus this image onto the screen, then only very sharp edges and everything appearing very beautifully, correctly, precisely on the screen, right? So therefore this projected image and the screen's function are very much interdependent, completely dependent. Therefore the consciousness, its ability to reflect, and the name and form, its ability to project onto the consciousness are very much essential for this complete engagement of the mind with an object. So typically we have this engaged mind. When you look at something, so the eye is simply a kind of physical sensor. Through that you will get some information. Ultimately, the event happens at the mind level. You might have known, right? Your brain does a correction to that inverted image. It will take it upward, and then you recognize, you give it a name, and this and that. So all are the happenings of the consciousness level, cognition level. Eye is a mere sensor. Similarly, the ear, nose, tongue, body, and similarly the mind. So therefore, consciousness and name and form are directly coupled, fully interdependent. Consciousness depends on the name and form depends on the consciousness. They are interrelated. This is somewhat not very popular information, or not very popular principle, a theory among even the Buddhists. So not knowing this interrelationship itself is the avidya, ignorance. It is so direct, it is so with us, it is so here itself, so we miss it. We look at outside, there is someone outside. We forget about it's happening here. It's happening here, we forget. We see someone outside. We forget it's happening here. We think there is a song someone is singing outside, not knowing the whole cognition part happening here. The sound come and hit the eardrum, and eardrum is the one ultimately, vibrating. What we say, we are listening to a beautiful music, isn't it? Ultimately, we are hearing the vibration of the eardrum. Except the vibration of eardrum, have you ever heard music? It's very funny, right? So we all are listening music, but ultimately we have heard the music of the eardrum. If there is any way to stimulate the eardrum here itself, you don't need any instruments, isn't it? So people have done that kind of experiments. So they have stimulated the sensors of the tongue. So same taste you can experience. Like different tastes are there. So those little buds, once they stimulate, so they experience the same taste. Really funny. So far what we have seen is only an image appearing in in our retina. But we see, people are there. Beautiful people are there. But giving an expression to this image appearing in our retina. Similarly, we say beautiful sounds, music, this and that, melodies, or many things are there. Everything happens at the eardrum. If you are able to stimulate the eardrum from some little device, you will hear beautiful music, not having any instruments outside, isn't it? So ultimately, the main function, main culprit is the mind. So that's why the consciousness. So at the consciousness level, so this stimulation ultimately create a beautiful image. So we fabricate it. We add, if they assume that there is a, so while we are watching that movie, assume that there is a kind of an old, that we know her, is an old actress. But because of the, latest costumes, so she appear like really young. We have to keep on forgetting that she's old now in order to appreciate her performance. In order to make it really beautiful, romantic kind of a thing, we need to keep forgetting that she's old now, has to be keep forgotten. It has to be deleted in your memory. Then only you can fully engage in that scenery. In case if you remember, okay, this is Malini Fonseca, she's pretty old now. Then you can't enjoy, because it's more realist. No, that is reality. I mean, in order to enjoy the movie, you have to keep forgetting the reality. You have to fully in that fiction. You have to fully, fully in ignorance. I have to be fully ignorant. Then only I can fully enjoy. So the Vipassana, on the other hand, help us to open our eyes. Time to time, come back to the present moment, come back to the reality. So reminding you, okay, this is a film, this is a movie, this is a fiction. Don't take it too serious. Don't cry. So even though they are, going through some tragic situations, don't cry. It's a movie. It's a fiction. Don't cry. So assume that while you are crying, if the next guy had heard that you are crying, just tell, don't cry, poor guy, or just fool. This is just a fiction. She is still alive. She is not dead. Don't worry. It's a fiction. So then you can't enjoy, isn't it? So we have to keep forgetting it's a fiction. We have to fully engage in that in a full ignorant way. Then only we can enjoy. So the Vipassana or even the mindfulness at the very early stage is keep reminding us, okay, be in the present moment, be in more reality. Don't give, the food to this, the fiction going through in the mind, the inner chatter going through in the mind. Keep coming to the present moment. Now your foot is touching the ground. Be there. Again, okay, mind has gone to the fiction. Or again, the next foot has touched the ground. Come there. Be there. That is the reality. That is the engage. That is the present moment. So the mindfulness practice from the beginning help us to crack that fiction, give a blow to that fiction. So time to time, many huge blows are given to that fiction. So the more you be mindful, more and more you be realistic, and slowly that fiction become blurred, fiction become, go into the background, and ultimately it will disappear, and now you are fully in the present. Fully in the, in your bodily experience, without much of, mental fabrication. Fabrication has now, to some extent, stopped. There are no imagination, there are no fictions, there are no fabrications. But your attention is more engaged with the body. To some extent now the error is somewhat corrected. Not yet fully corrected, somewhat. But it's very boring. That's why most of you are sleepy while you are meditating, because the movie is exciting, romantic, but the real experience is very boring. That's why people prefer this kind of excitement. Time to time having some excitement, time to time watching some movies. Even the news. What are the type of news that you like? Some exciting news. Some if there are some huge. Even if it is a fiction, you like to believe it. If someone say, okay, a tsunami is coming tomorrow. probably you might feel, okay, is it? So you feel engaged, you feel anxious about it, you want to watch more information about it. You start watching further about it. So that's why people like to predict. People are saying, okay, these are the, what's that? Palm reading and what's the nakshastra? What's the English term for that? Astrology, yeah. So that's why people are, pumping a lot of information, taking from various astrological predictions. People are very interested of that. So if they say, okay, after 2-3 years, okay, there is a comet coming and hitting the world and whole part of the world being completely destroyed, and now you are anxious about it. I want to see more details about it. Be like that. So that fictitious world, it is not in the present moment, by the way. Your mind has some interest about some future event. So likewise, this we have to keep forgetting that we are in the present moment, what's happening right now, in order to fully engage with consciousness with the name and form. So the mindfulness practice from the beginning help us to come to the present moment, not giving much emphasis to this inner fiction, fabrication, and now the fabrication has fairly stopped and you are in the present moment. It's anyway, as you said, somewhat boring. But we need to accept it. We need to have some faith. We need to have some, a kind of a wisdom. Okay, even though it is boring, even though it is somewhat painful, anyway, it is the reality. It is the reality. I have come out of that fictitious world, I have come out of that falsified world to this present moment. Even though it is boring or even though it is somewhat painful to be here, standing, sitting and with this all painful stuff, okay, I am still here and now. Mind hasn't gone to some deluded state. Ignorance has somewhat faded away temporarily. So you need to recognize it as a kind of a blessing. Again and again coming to that experience. So opening our eyes time to time. Say for example you are engaged in some computer activity. Say you are in a programming software activity. And maybe you are designing something, you are completely imagining something, coding, programming. So you are taken to a different world. Maybe more technical, coding, artificial world. Even through the mind, so you can design something, kind of a virtual reality. At least time to time you have to come to the reality, to the present moment. Close your eyes, be in the present. I am sitting here, now. How the body is positioned, where your hands are, where are your legs, where are your buttocks. Coming to the present moment. But boring. Not exciting. So we prefer excitement, we prefer romance, we prefer worries, sorrows, and that is our addiction in a way. Our defilements are more engaging us towards that, but at least time to time we have to open our eyes. So anyway, let's discuss further on the same topic tomorrow, some other interesting questions this monk is asking. I feel this is enough for today. So with that note, I like to conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening.